Hi loves, this is Pamela with Pamela's Tarot Tales, and I am finally coming back to hashtag 31 Days of Tarot. So I'm going to power through quite a few of these prompts, see how far we get, see how many videos I need to make, but we're going to go with the fly here. So, alright, so day 18, share one new thing you learned about tarot in the last year. I learned so much about tarot in the last year. I haven't been doing tarot um, really that long, maybe 2 years consistently, and so maybe really intensively for the past year. So I learned so much. I have learned the basics. I have learned to trust my intuition. But I'd say the most important thing I guess I'm really coming into is confidence and trusting my intuition, trusting, not doubting. Just read, and whatever I read is great. And there's always more. There's always different perspectives. But learning to let go of that, learning to not be attached to the outcome, has been incredibly helpful. And learning to be able to put myself out there and read for others. I think it's a great tool and it's a great skill, and it's something that I want to do more of. So yeah, I also started kind of researching Marseille a little bit, but really not going into it until this year, 2018. So I'll save that for next year. And that was day 18. 19 is share which tarot deck out there gives you the heebie-jeebies. I don't know if there's one in particular that gives me the heebie-jeebies. I haven't found anything that I find repulsive or that creeps me out per se. The one that's kind of coming to mind is the ones by Chicoli that have the big eyes and the doll-like faces, and they look like children almost, and dolls, and I just don't like that style. I think it's beautiful artwork. I love the way that everything else is in that, but I really don't like those big eyes. They do kind of creep me out. And I know people love that deck, and I think that's awesome. I totally respect that. It's just not my thing. Alright, so 20. Share one tarot myth you used to believe and why you stopped believing it. I don't know. Can't really say I have one. I'm one of those that's more fluid and will say, whatever works for you. I mean, always do the research, always find what, books and stuff, and, watch YouTube and all these things, but ultimately it comes down to what works for you. So if you believe in these myths and that's your thing, right on, okay, whatever. But for me, I don't really know, don't really care. So, share some of your favorite deck storage. I tend to keep them in the box. The only ones I don't keep in the box are the ones by Llewellyn that have the big cardboard boxes. Even the ones with the magnetic, just because I don't like the insert inside of them. And so my favorite deck storage, I'd have to say from a manufacturer, would be the Fountain Tarot, because it has a nice magnetic clasp, it's compact, it has the cards and the book, and the book's not the biggest, but it is really well written and one of my favorites. As far as decks, the storage that I've kind of made, I got this deck used. This is the Dame Darcy, and the woman that I bought it from, Jessica Reynolds, had made this box from an old iPhone box, and she just put some papers and put the extra card on there, and it's really cute. And I like that because it's sturdy, it's easy to use, and I had already done kind of the same thing for my Animal Totems Tarot, just taking some fabric and gluing on there, and you can see I've kind of beat it up a little bit. Hers is much nicer than mine, but it works really well. It's an old iPhone box. It gives me room to put a little crystal in there if I want. And I do use bags. I made a few bags. Sometimes, oops, Alright, you're gonna have to excuse me for a second. Alright. I know you enjoyed looking at my armpit. Do apologize. Maybe I'll edit that. Probably not. So I made some little deck bags. This houses my Green Witch Tarot. This one houses my Victorian Fairies Tarot. And this one houses my Magical Forest. I like this one because it's got a little snap. And I do keep this one still in the box for now, but I'll probably change that. I made these using my grandmother's old muumuus. So they have some really good energy, and they remind me of her, so I think she would definitely approve. So that's my favorite. Okay. Share, this is day 22. Share the card that was the hardest for you to get when you were first learning tarot. How do you feel about the card now? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I still struggle with some of the cards. But because I read them in context to the question and context to, I always try to relate it back to the question and in context of the suit. Now that I've learned the elements and some numerology, that's kind of helpful. I don't know. I don't know that I have an answer for that. I do tend to struggle more with the 5s and the 7s, more 7s than 5s, but I really don't know. I'll have to come back to this one. Maybe I'll do another video on that, but for now, I'm not sure I really have an answer. But I'm going to move on. And I'm also going to, I think the light's still okay. Okay. So that was day 22, which I didn't really answer, but share a tarot deck that you just had to break up with and no longer resonates for you. You know, I don't know that I've had tarot long enough in my life to really break up with it. I did buy Tarot of the Dead. I had gotten it really inexpensively. It was a pip deck, and thought it was really cute, really light in coloration and fun and kind of lighthearted. But I got it, and I never really clicked with it. The pips didn't resonate for me. I tried for a little while, and it just sat on my shelf, so I broke up with it. I guess you could count that. I traded it on. I actually had 2 copies because I'd gotten a really good deal on it, and I traded both of those. One of which I'd gotten the Green Witch Tarot, which I do really like. And it's not a deck that I normally would have gone for, normally would have purchased, but it's a deck that I'm enjoying. So good for very earthy element, which I need. I'm going to turn on some light here. Okay. So now the next question is, if you could design a 79th card that everyone would use, what would it look like? What would it represent? I think that the Fountain Tarot has done this so beautifully, and I would do something along those lines. I don't know what it would look like. I would have to really sit and ponder that. Do some sketching. I am an artist. I can do some drawing and thinking about it, but the Fountain Tarot has the Fountain card, and it embodies pretty much exactly what I would want as a 79th card in a deck. And so I'm just going to read that briefly, so if you're not familiar with this card, you will hear it from the creator's mouth rather than me trying to bastardize what they say. So oops, sorry about that. Okay. The Fountain card. Our interconnectedness on this planet has never been more clear. Technology has given us near limitless access to knowledge, more than we can possibly comprehend. It has illuminated the interweaving and singular consciousness that sages, witches, and shamans have embodied for thousands of years. The Fountain card is the eternal context beyond human experience in which anything and everything can happen. The tarot cannot have anticipated this burgeoning connection and awareness It now begs for its expression. The Fountain card is an answer to this unasked question. Like the Fool exists outside of the 21 cards, beyond the cycle of the earthly world, it reflects both solitary experience and timeless unity. It is the aether in which we navigate our imperfect lives and the substance of our life. So, it would be kind of life force energy, unity, unitedness, spiritual connectedness, the kind of beyond. And I think that they do that really well with this. So I would do something similar, but it would look much different, but I'm not sure what it would look like. Okay. Tarot or Oracle, which would you read with for the rest of your life if you had to pick one, and why? Holy crap, that's such an unfair question because they are so different. And technically, I guess tarot is an oracle, in the sense that it's, tapping into that universal consciousness. Such an unfair question. I love my oracle cards and I love my tarot cards, and I guess if I had to, if someone like twisted my arm and said you have to choose, I'd probably say tarot. But that might change tomorrow. I haven't found a huge amount of oracle cards that I absolutely adore, but the ones that I have, I do absolutely adore, that I love them. There are some out there that I would really be interested in getting. But tarot, having the 78 cards, having the structure, having it being, I don't know, it just seems to answer in a different way that gives a little bit more detail sometimes, and I like that for now. So I would say tarot. Okay. Day 26, thoughts on tarot becoming, quote, mainstream. I don't know that I've ever sat down and really thought about it. Off the fly, I would say, if you're referring to mainstream in the context of more people using it, more people interested in it, more readers, more experiences, then I say, there's plenty of room for all of us. We can all enjoy tarot, and I think it's fabulous. I think that more people should turn to divination tools or guidance or whatever works for them. If you're talking about, the bastardization of it in, tarot, where it's becoming a commodity in the sense of commercialism and, like dresses made of tarot card imagery or whatever, each to their own. I mean, it brings more recognition to it. It's when it becomes a problem that I don't really appreciate it. When it becomes something that is no longer respected, or something that is taken completely out of context and not have any meaning for or respect for, that's when I have a problem with it. But I love that it's more accessible. I love that I can connect with people on YouTube, watch their videos, get their perspectives, see different cards, see their thoughts, hear what they have to say. I love the readings that people are doing that, like for the month or the week or whatever, or popping on and hearing how they interpret the cards, because they interpret them differently than I do, and I think that's great. I think that it's all a learning resource, and that's how I approach it. So, day 27. Share your first professional reading experience, either as a reader or a seeker. Okay, well, I'm going to do both. I had my first reading experience, like psychic reading, not using tarot, a couple years ago, with an awesome reader named Kelly, intuitive reader named Kelly Powers, out of Tallahassee, and he was fabulous. He really was, and it was an amazing experience. I did have a tarot reading with Donna Tornillo, also out of Tallahassee, from Tarot Astrologist. Just like a brief 15 minutes, kind of an intro thing, and she's such an incredible incredible person, an incredible reader. The way she's uh, combining things and looks at tarot and reads it and relates it to kind of a everyday but also a spiritual matter, uh, in a coaching kind of way, in an astrological way, but really fascinating. I had a good experience with her. It was a bit overwhelming just because it was at a place, like a fair at a coffee shop kind of thing, and there was so much noise and chatter, and I recorded it, which was great because she let me do that. I asked permission, and that was awesome. But it took a few minutes for me to get centered and to tap in, and she was great at guiding me to do that. Um, but it was so, nerve-wracking with that. Um, my reading experience I'm going to give too as well as a reader for others. I did an event for my animal communication stuff for Pamela's Tarot Tales. Sorry, not Pamela's Tarot Tales, Pamela's Animal Tales, which is my communication um, stuff. That I did readings for at an event in Tallahassee called Connect Tallahassee, which was incredible, and I'm so sad that they're not doing it this year. But it was such an amazing experience. I didn't have a lot of sitters. I think that's one thing I do like about tarot, is that you have cards, so people like being able to see something and interact, and it's easier for them to relate to. When I do the animal communication stuff, I don't use any tools, external tools for others to see. So I think people are a little bit more hesitant with that. But I had a great experience reading that day for others. I had one person in tears, and that was joyful in tears, and not like a bad experience, but with an animal in spirit. And it was such a beautiful day to be able to give and those readings, to be able to be paid for them and be respected for them. And I want to do that more for sure. So if you're interested, hit me up. And my website for that is PamelasAnimalTales.com, and that's TELLS. So the first reading I gave that I got paid for tarot was also really good. It made me feel really good. It was from a childhood friend, and for a childhood friend that we had reconnected in the last few years, and I was starting to post on Facebook and Instagram, and she's like, "Oh, you do tarot readings?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, let's set something up." And I said, "Okay." So I did one for her. The first one I did for her, I did for free. I did a long one just because I wasn't comfortable. I needed to practice reading for someone in person. Actually, it was on Skype. And I didn't feel comfortable. I was like, whatever, donate to me. And that never, it was great, but if you don't tell people how much to pay you, then sometimes they don't pay you. And that's fine too. I have no problems with that, but the paid reading was with that client who wanted to make sure that I got paid for she valued what I did, she valued what I said, she appreciated the reading, and we have a good exchange. So, and I've done a couple of readings for her, and it's been really, really good. It's been a lot of fun. Something I definitely want to push more. So, again, if you're interested, hit me up. All right, so those are multiple experiences with reading professionally. Share one celebrity that you would refuse to read for, no matter how much they paid you, and why. Oh, God. Yeah. I don't really keep up with celebrities. I'm so horrible with pop culture. um, mm, you know, I would like to think that I can put my personal feelings aside for whoever I am reading for, um, to give them a reading that is non-biased. I know that's difficult, but on the other hand, we do get to choose who we interact with and who we have in our space and who we connect with and who we choose to read for. And there's probably quite a few I would choose not to read for. And I would say someone like that was a rapist or a child molester, or something along those lines, a wife beater, or someone that was very negative and engrossed in harm to others, is someone that I just wouldn't read for, um, so I'm sure there's quite a few celebrities that you can assign a name to for that. The other one that kind of pops into mind, and I don't know if I would refuse, but I would have a hard time doing it, would probably be Trump. And that's just because I do try to stay out of politics and not voice my opinions um, on this channel and other public forums, just because I don't want to engage in debate about it, because my beliefs are mine and your beliefs are yours, and we can have good conversations about them, but on a whole, it just sparks anger and disinterest and problems rather than good, healthy discussions. So, and mainly just because I think he's, well, it doesn't matter what I think, but you can get the idea on where I'm going with that. So, but I think that I would like to think that that's one that I could put my feelings aside for and read for, but he is such an ass that I don't know that I would want to engage in that kind of behavior. And I don't think he would be open to hearing any constructive information for him for his growth and development. And what I use tarot for is for personal growth and development. So he wouldn't probably come to me anyway. Okay, so 29. We're almost through, guys. What are your beliefs around mechanics of a reading? How do you think it works? Is it your subconscious, higher self, spirit, etc.? Oh, that's a good question. I think that they tap into a higher consciousness, to spirit, to source, to universe, whatever you want. The collective consciousness is really, what I think they kind of tap into. I think that's how all energy works. I think that this is just another tool to get there. I was kind of interested when Kasha from Tarot Map talked about how, in one of her videos, how she looks at the tarot and how it taps in and how it all ties into each other and to unity and to that collective consciousness, and contributing to that collective consciousness actively through knowledge and through wisdom. And I think that's such a fascinating way to look at it. I haven't reconciled that just yet, but I do tend to lean towards that way. But I do think they tap into a higher, higher than what this limited small mind can, what we call the small mind, can really, it goes beyond limits, and I think that has to come from higher, whether it's higher self, higher consciousness, source, universe. Terminology and the naming of it to me is irrelevant, because I believe it's something beyond what we hold within. We can tap into something bigger than ourselves, because it is. To me, it's bigger than ourselves. So, okay, my little diatribe on that. I guess I have strong feelings on that one. Okay, so day 30. What is the most culturally inclusive deck you own? Well, I don't really, I guess, I don't really have a culturally inclusive deck, and it's not because I don't want one. It's not because, it's just because I don't have one. So I would say probably, if you want to take it out of cultural references that we know and kind of transcends that, I would say either the Triunfis de la Luna or the Navigators of the Mystic Sea, because they're not human in, they're just different. So they're all different colors. And I've trimmed this little deck to be a pocket deck, so trimmed off all the keywords, but they're all colors. They're gender neutral. I mean, there's oranges and greens and black and orange and yellow and, you know, just, they don't have any genitalia. They're, you know, they're just, I mean, you can tell some are definitely more masculine and some are definitely more feminine, I guess, but they're, it just takes, it eliminates all of that for me. And I think that's a, and pink, I mean, all kinds of colors. Look at those guys. There, that's a little better. And the you know, the Triomphe, it's more, I mean, it takes away all of the, you know, because it's a Pip deck, it's a Marseille deck, so the quartz are, you know, different colors, different shapes, they have different body types, they have, you know, thick, thin, different colored skin, male, female. The trumps are, you know, they're just, but as far as like culturally inclusive, like we, or, you know, how we limit ourselves into thinking, I guess, or how we, you know, I guess the division of cultures rather than unification, I don't really have any. So there we go. All right, looks like we got one more day, and I'm busting through this in half an hour. How awesome is this? Okay, what are your favorite tarot apps? Do you work with them? On what platform? Smartphone, tablet, etc. Okay. I don't use a whole lot of tarot apps. The one I do use is actually by this question creator, Shona Hill, who is from Galaxy Tarot, who also has Ace of Stars website. And I use that on my tablet. It's an old tablet, but it works well enough. I use that mainly for study, for learning the deck, or if I want to reference the Rider-Waite-Smith deck because I don't own it, I'll look at that. But I use that app because it is brilliantly written. The descriptions, the associations, the write-up of it, there's a lot of information there, and it's a book in and of itself. And I love the way she has it written and applies it to different things, and you know, and it's not something that's regurgitated from another book. It's something that she has distilled and really put a lot of thought and effort into it. So that's mainly how I use that app. You know, I've toyed with getting an app deck from Fool's Dog because they're not that expensive, and then you always have one. The only problem with Galaxy Tarot is that they don't have it for iPhone, and I'm an iPhone user, but I know they're working on it, and I know that it's going to be coming out, and I'm so excited for that. So I'll probably definitely download that when that comes out. The Fool's Dog, I don't have any Fool's Dog apps, but I do toy with it because they're inexpensive. It'd be great to have that, you know, with me at all times. But I don't have one, so I don't know how well I would use it either. I like the cards, but I do like the idea of having a deck with me at all times without having to carry an actual deck. You know, just pop on and take a look. So I don't carry my tablet. It's old. I only use it for certain things. So that's when it would be helpful to have either Galaxy Tarot or Fool's Dog on my phone. Hopefully soon. Alright, that is my power through. Thanks for hanging with me for the hashtag 31 Days of Tarot. And yeah, that was fun, even powering through. So I hope to see you on this channel later on through various other tags and questions and comments. Please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'd love to do more on this channel. So help me get started, guys. Alright. Have a great day and enjoy more videos.